Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Mitch's 미친영어코칭. My name's Mitch, Mitchy Sam. Welcome back, and this is a channel that is here for you to help you speak English confidently, to speak English comfortably, and to speak English professionally in a business setting, okay? So today we're going to talk about a topic that is very common, and that is in the job interview, when you take a job interview, or university interview as well, or let's say you're gonna apply for a master's or PhD program, any kind of formal interview, they're gonna ask you this question. They're gonna ask you the very simple thing, tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. Now, when people get this question, tell me about yourself, in an interview, the first mistake often people make is they want to tell their entire life story, right? They want to tell lots of details. And this person that's interviewing you, they don't need to know all that. They don't want to know all that. They don't have time to know all of that. They really just want to know a few details that will help them remember who you are, understand who you are, and know if you're right or wrong for this position, okay? So you're just trying to communicate a few key details in a professional way, and you're not trying to give them a complete overview about your life. The worst thing you can do in a job interview is give too much information, okay? You want the person to, be curious about you. That's a good thing. You don't want them to feel like, oh, this guy, okay, I know everything about this guy or this girl. I don't need to know anymore. We don't need to interview them again for a second interview. I've got it. No, you want them to say, that guy, he was really interesting. I think we need to bring him back for a second interview, that kind of thing. So the way to do that is keep your answers not too short. You don't want to sound rude or like you didn't have a good answer, but you want to keep them concise. Concise means just stick to some main points and only give the details that are necessary to give the information you want to give to that person. Okay, you don't need to give a lot of detail about your whole life. Okay, so when you get this question, tell me about yourself, I'm going to show you how to answer this like a high-level native English professional. Okay, this is how you can do it. If you use this formula I'll give you in this video, you're going to answer this question like a pro. Okay, so we're going to talk about in this video, we're going to use the present, past, future formula. Okay, present means right now, past, what you've done in the past, and future, what you're hoping for in the future related to this job that you're trying to get. So first of all, the present. You're going to first talk about right now, okay? What you're doing now. What's your job right now, okay? So here's the phrase that you're going to use for that, and you can use this in any situation. You say, I'm currently a marketing lead at this company, okay? Or whatever, not marketing lead, but whatever your role is in your company. So you have the role and the company. I'm currently, that means right now, I'm currently a sales manager at, SK Telecom or whatever it is. So before you go into the interview, you need to think about what is my current job role? Am I a sales manager? Am I a team manager? Am I a human resource manager? Am I an engineer? Am I a designer? Whatever it is, right? You're going to have a role in that job, okay? So that role, think about that before you go to the interview. Make sure you know what it's called, okay? And then your company name, obviously you'll know that part. That's not hard. So I'm currently this role at this company, okay? Another example, you could say, I'm currently an engineer at Samsung, okay? Whatever your job is. Okay, so that is the first step. So that means you're talking about your current job that you're doing right now. Okay, and then past. Now let's talk about some of your key accomplishments, things you've done in the past. Okay, so then in this case, you would use this phrase. You say, previously, I successfully led a project that, and then talk about the project. Previously, I successfully led a project that brought many new customers to my company, and the product did very well. The product launch was great, or whatever the project is, okay? Your project, again, before you go to the interview, sit down and write down some projects that you worked on, some successful things that you did at your previous company, or your previous work experience. Okay, make sure you know that before you go to the interview. Okay, it's got to be fresh in your mind, and you have to practice saying it in English if it's an English interview, right? So, but the phrase you're going to use is previously. That means in the past. Previously, I successfully led a project that did this, or I successfully led a team that did this. Okay, and then describe what that project was. Okay, so that's a very simple phrase. Obviously, I'm just giving you the first part. The ending you have to fill in with your personal information. Okay, but that part, hopefully, not so hard because you know what you did. But the formula of the phrase, that's what I want you to focus on in this video, because you can just fill in the rest with your personal information. Okay? Then, after you talk about your past accomplishments, next step is you're going to talk about the future. Okay? Not long into the future. Your future with this company. So you're applying for a job in this company. What are you hoping to contribute? What are you hoping to help this company do? Because that's really what that person is thinking. They're asking the question, what is this person going to do for our company, right? Are they going to help us? How can they help us? They want to know that. So answer that question for them. Tell them, here is how I can help you in this company. So this is what you're going to say. You're going to use this phrase. I'm looking to bring my expertise to a global team like yours. Something simple like that. I'm looking to, that means I'm hoping to, but sounds a little better than hoping. Hoping's good, but looking to means that's my goal, that's my focus. I'm looking to bring my expertise. Expertise means my knowledge, my skills, all my experience, all of that. I'm looking to bring it to a global team like yours. Okay, you complimented them. You said, you're a global team. You know, I feel like I can contribute to this team. I'm looking to contribute to this team. Okay, any of those phrases are good. You can, write them all down if it helps. But the main phrase you're going to use, I'm looking to bring my expertise to a global team like yours. Okay, and what that does is, you're not saying, you don't want to be too arrogant, right? You don't want to say like, you need me, so you need to hire me because I can help you because I have so much expertise. It's not saying it like that, because you're not going to get the job if you do that. What it's saying is you're confidently expressing that you have expertise, you have knowledge, you have experience, and then you're saying, I'm hoping to bring that to your team because your team is a global team, and I really respect your company and I respect your work, and I want to contribute to that work. All of that deep meaning in a very simple phrase. I'm looking to bring my expertise to a global team like yours. Okay, if you say that, they're going to say, well, okay, this woman seems very, very, very experienced, very knowledgeable, very polite, very professional, very confident, all the things you want to be in this interview. Okay, another tip here, one pro tip is use power verbs. Okay, in English, we don't want to just say, I did this, I did that. Okay, did, very simple verb, expand your vocabulary. Okay, say, I implemented, I spearheaded, I optimized. Okay, if you don't know what those verbs mean, well, there's a good chance for you to learn them because all of those are in my online course. If you go to my website, mitchininenglishcoach.com, you can find a course, an online course that I've done related to small talk. And in that course, there is a lesson about talking about your work history and your work jobs, work roles. And so I give you a lot of these kind of verbs, like I spearheaded this project, or I optimized this product, or I implemented this policy. Okay, I teach you all of those and many more in that online course. So if you're interested, it's 50% off right now. You can go to my website and get that, and then you can learn a lot of these power verbs. But the power verbs, that's going to be your key to really making an impact. Because if you just say, I did this, I did that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, it doesn't have a lot of impact, okay? Because it's very basic English. So if you want to improve your vocabulary there, I suggest get my online course and I'll help you with it. All right, everybody? So these are just some tips for you to make your next job interview go very well. This is usually the first question. Tell me about yourself. Usually the first question. So very important that you have a good answer right from the very beginning. Okay, so try those phrases. As I said, you need to study a little bit before you go into the interview. Write down your answers about your work history, that kind of thing. And then be ready when they ask you this question. Okay, everybody, I'll see you in the next video.